Hey there, Flossube. This is Kathy, the hands-on designer. It is a Sunday afternoon. I can actually finally say it's a snowy Sunday afternoon. I'm looking out the window there and the flakes have finally started to fall. If you saw my post on Instagram or Facebook earlier today, I was saying that we needed some snow on this not so winter wonderland farm, just for the farmers and the fields and the landscaping and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm kind of glad to actually see it. Plus I'm going to shoot this. I got a little more work and then my stitching chair is calling me upstairs. So I figure while hubby takes a nap, I'm going to do some model stitching. It's been a long, crazy week in the studio. There's not going to be anything but long, crazy weeks from here till the beginning of March and Nashville Needlework Market. Just getting ready, getting models ready, getting charts ready, getting all the little bits and bobs that go with it coordinated, and talking to the different companies that are supporting the new designs with product, and it's just kind of crazy. So I'm a little tired and I could use some downtime with some stitching today. But I wanted to do a little explanation on the second half of this video because I actually filmed it a couple weeks ago. As I was beginning to do model stitching for a new series that will be debuting at Nashville Needlework Market. I'm really excited about it. But one of the biggest questions when I bring out a new series, if you're going to stitch the whole series, is I get emails, how much fabric do I need? How much linen do I need? And my quick answer, because these are ornaments, okay, that much I can reveal, they're ornaments. I would say 9 by 9, mostly because I'm typically mostly a Q-snap stitcher and I like my 8 by 8s, 8 by 11s. That's pretty much my wheelhouse. I have big hands, and so 6 by 6s just kind of are a little too tight for my comfort for really just stitching along. But so a lot of times I just say 9 by 9, that'll work. But the former shop owner in me kind of goes 9 by 9 cuts. It just kind of starts making for some unevenness in the in cutting up your chunks of linen. So and also it's more expensive for you. So I was working with Stephanie from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie to get this new color. You're going to see it in the second half of the video. And we kind of go back and forth with the color. The color is not available yet. It's going to be a market release, but you'll get to see it. I'm super excited about it. It's so pretty. And what she ended up is we kind of, because we'll mail things back and forth, linen, as we're testing colors and whatnot. And because we do some like email, but you can't really tell until you see it. You're holding it in your hands because lighting will change the colors and whatnot. So when I finally had it, she sends me a fat quarter. Well, I was getting ready to get going on the model stitching and do the final testing of the thread colors. And I realized all I had was this fat quarter. I'm like, oh, well, I can make it work. But then I realized I have to send some of them off to model stitchers, and I can't send them one fat quarter and everybody does like a round robin on it. I need these puppies done. So I decided I had to mark up my linen, and I know I'm comfortable with the amount of fabric that I have around the edges. So what I'm showing you, I thought, well, if I can get these ornaments on a fat quarter of linen, the most economical cut possible for this series, well, so can you, so can stitchers. So I thought, well, that might be useful information to show you how to subdivide that linen for either, this series or another series you're doing, or quite frankly, if you've got that little cut of linen that you're like, I just love this linen, I love this color, but it's really not big enough to do the piece I want and give me, to be able to put it into a Q-snap or something, just to show you kind of a practical way to attach some fabric around it so that you can use that piece of fabric. So that's what the second half of the video is about. But I also wanted to take a few moments to explain the other thing that I got lots of emails and messages and direct messages and Instagram messages and Facebook messages about. Thank you, by the way, for all of the messages. But we've been talking a lot this week on the Hands-on Design Facebook, Hands-on Design Stitchers Facebook group. It's a group where I don't manage the group. Another gal manages it. She does a beautiful job, Ida. And it's basically, it's all things hands-on design. If you're stitching one of my designs, basically the posts can be about, you know, your hands-on design, stitching, finishing, and of course flamingos often work their way in there. Somebody said, why flamingos? And I said, well, then apparently you don't know, Kathy. It's like, okay, whatever. I could, you know, I'll take a puppy picture or kitten picture or two, but you know, I do like the flamingos. So the other thing that a lot of chatter in the group has been about these beauties. Okay, the Keepsakes calendar. So one gal in particular, Felicia, hi Felicia, she and I have actually spoken on the phone a couple times. She reached out to me because she's starting a stitch along about one design in particular. And she shouted out to me and said, you know, hey, have you done the other seasons kind of thing? And well, okay, this is the whole thing. And this is why up to this point, I have not really done the other seasons because of just some kind of the background information. And rather than type this in a post or an email or tell the same story 50 million times, I thought I'm just going to talk about this in the video and kind of just lay the cards out on the table. And so I hope you don't mind, but if anybody does ask me about, what about that design in the Keepsakes calendar, I'm probably going to give you the link to this video because it's, you know, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. So just a little background. I've actually been fortunate enough to be in 3 calendars. I was a 2015 calendar girl. I was a 2016 calendar girl. And then the one, of course, that everybody's kind of talking about, well, I mean, everybody that some people are talking about is the 2018. I am Miss January. So I've been April, I've been October, and then this month I was the January girl. Which is kind of funny because I'm not really, well, you know. And this one is this design. And they called it Winter Chalkboard. Okay, so what you need to know about this is that, okay, it's 2018, so it was released, actually, this is the way these calendars work. We got to back up a few years. It's a 2018 calendar, okay, it's now 2020, people. This calendar is out of print. They actually publish it and distribute it in 2017. They actually contact the designers in like about a year before that. So we're talking 2016 is when I started working on this particular design. They came to me and said, you know, we would like something kind of like subway art, but chalkboard for January, and we think you'd be the perfect person to design it. Would you like to do it? And I'm like, well, heck yeah. But you got to think back now in that time frame, because it's like late 2015, early 2016. I had just completed the original Year in Chalk series. And I was working with the first series that Priscilla Blaine and I did was in the Just Cross Stitch magazine, the Seasons in Chalk. And so we were doing that. And I mean, at the time I had no idea like where things would be going with chalk and, you know, you know, who knew? So, when the magazine approached me about this, I said, yeah, this is kind of neat. It's a way for me to kind of keep that chalk thing going just in case it ends. And when they sign you up to do the calendar, they actually purchase all the rights to the design. So even though it's a hands-on design and it's got my name on it, I am the one who designed it, I don't own it anymore. They purchase all the rights. So again, think back, this was 4 years ago when all this was happening. So I remember my husband, Mr. Hands-On Design, very clearly saying to me, why do you do all the really good stuff for publications? I know what he meant, but it just sounded kind of funny at the time. And I said, well, okay, honey, next time I'll do something ugly, okay? Gotta love him. But anyway, so I thought about it and I thought, gosh, you know, doing the other seasons would be really, really kind of cool. But of course, it just, with everything that kind of then started happening, you know, we were continuing the seasonal series and Just Cross Stitch. Priscilla and I, and then just, you know, all the other series that started coming, this just got kind of put to the wayside. So, of course, every once in a while, somebody posts a picture on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then of course everybody's like, where can I get this? So thankfully, and I am thrilled that you all do still like that design. I still like the design. Well, I love the design. But again, it's not something I can publish. So you have to go to Hirschner's, who owns Keepsakes, I guess is how it works, and they are making the chart available. So I can't tell you where to go buy the calendar. I can't, because I don't even think they're in print anymore. It's probably sold out. So if you go to the Hands-On Design Stitchers Facebook group, you do need to become a member. Someone has listed out like who to call or where the download is available, that kind of thing. So let's fast forward to last weekend when Felicia reached out to me and said, you know, hey, are you ever going to do the other seasons? And Mr. HOD and I we did really kind of talk about it and just say, okay, well, how could I make this work? Because the truth of it is, or the matter of fact part of it is that I can't do like a 4-season little mini series and say to shops that carry my designs, hey, I've got this great new series with 4 seasons, but I can only sell you 3, and then everybody has to go. It just doesn't work that way. So I we talked it through, and then I did end up talking to Felicia about it because I kind of wanted some feedback from a stitcher, and a stitcher who was gonna stitch Winter Chalkboard. This piece, I'll show it, that again. All right, and I said, you know, if I come out with, I told her I will commit to doing the other 3 seasons. So yes, ta-da, yes, I am gonna do the other 3 seasons, the remaining seasons. But I am going to do another winter, basically because then shops can carry that. It's, you know, obviously it's not going to look like that because I don't own that one. But I think it'll be different enough so that if you choose to do this one, you might want the other one too, because I have kind of some ideas now. I've spent some time thinking about this week and making some sketches and whatnot. There'll probably be a couple options on the new charts. They'll be the same size. So if you're planning on, I didn't finish this one, so I don't even really exactly know. I sent the piece off, I stitched it. I sent the piece off and I don't get it back when they buy them, buy them outright. So I really don't know what they did for finishing. It looks like it was stretched somehow and there's grommets up there. I'm not exactly sure what they did. But I will make it the same size so that if you want to do something, do a finish that you want to change out seasonally, like the way, Priscilla so beautifully has shown us all, how we can change things out with each season with her washers and magnets and stuff like that. If you want to do that, you will be able to. I am also going to offer a different design as well, something to maybe collaborate with it. Or coordinate with it. So yeah, so yay. I am also going to change the name or do a name for the series, because they called this one, they called it Winter Chalkboard, which kind of seems sort of, it's winter and it's a chalkboard. We can get a little more imaginative than that. So I've decided to go ahead and call the new series #ChalkTalk. And I've asked Felicia, she asked if she could go ahead and start a new stitch along group. And I said, the only thing I really asked is if she could call it the #ChalkTalk stitch along. And then we would have individual hashtags for #Winter Chalkboard and the seasons. Partly because there are so many, we've got seasons in chalk, we've got a year in chalk, we've got, of course, the seasons in chalk being the series with Priscilla and all the other series that we've done. So I kind of wanted to not call it just Winter Chalkboard, just to give it something different. Anyway, so that's why the name change. But anyway, so there you go. Yes, I am excited and I am looking forward to kind of, bringing this back up and saying, okay, what was kind of get back in that mindset. I'm actually also really excited to see how this looks because I've talked about it in previous videos before. It's difficult to go back sometimes and go back into a design mind of what it was I was thinking then. And I'm not the same. This is gonna sound weird, but I'm not the same designer. I mean, I think I've, I am and I'm not. I mean, this is definitely, yep, you look at that and you go, yep, that's Kathy. But I also feel like, I grown a little bit. I mean, that's kind of my goal, is, to grow and, change my art up a little bit and keep it fun and exciting for me and for stitchers, quite frankly. So I'm super excited to get going on this series. Now I'm going to tell you, and I told Felicia the same thing, this is not going to come out or the new next season is not coming out at Nashville. Had this come up about 6 months ago, maybe we could have talked, but plans are in, I kind of schedule out year plans well in advance. You just have to. So we're kind of working this in, and I don't know exactly like when the next one will release. I'm going to definitely try and work ahead so that you have time to get it done before the next season kind of thing. So I'm pretty excited about #Chalk Talk. And all its different seasons and who knows what beyond that. So, yeah, so don't be upset if you email me and say, where can I get that Keepsakes calendar? I'm going to say, go to this video. I'm so thrilled beyond measure that you all still really like the design. I can't wait to see everybody start stitching it. And for those of you who are going to start with the Winter Chalkboard, don't be like, she's going to change it. It's not going to look, I promise you, it will coordinate. You'll have a beautiful series. I just felt like I need to be true to the shops if they're going to carry the series, that they have a complete series available to them. So, I thank you for keeping that in mind as you stitch your way through the series. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think Felicia is going to be setting the new group up, the Stitch Along Facebook group up on Monday. So check that out. She'll probably make an announcement in the Hands-On Design Stitchers page, and I will put below the name that #Chalk Talk, so that's something that you can look for on Facebook, and I hope you join, and I look forward to seeing everybody's progress. So I'm gonna go sign off now, get this loading, and I'm gonna go enjoy some snowy stitching this afternoon. So you all have a good week, and I feel weird I'm not showing you any new designs, but in the next coming months, of course, you're going to start seeing a lot of new designs, some things I have releasing yet before Nashville comes. And then of course all the fun Nashville releases. I am so excited about some of the things I have coming out. And then of course all the class pieces. So pre-stitching has been sent off for my first class in late March, and my Midwest Cross Stitchers retreat is in early May, and you all should be getting your pre-stitching in early February. I'm working out some thread details at the moment. I love the design that you guys are going to get. Just really excited about it. So anyway, so I'm going to combine this to the next video so you can kind of see what I did to prepare my fat quarter of fabric for the new series that I'm kicking off, and you'll notice I'm not saying what it is. Anyway, so in the meantime, enjoy the stitch, and we'll enjoy the second half of the video. Hey there, Flossube. This is Kathy, the hands-on designer. Yep, I'm up here, but we're going to concentrate down here today. I'm kind of doing something, well, a little different, shall we say. I'm going to introduce you to a linen that I will be using for a new series that I've got coming up. I'm not going to say anything about the series just yet. It will be coming out in a few months, as in Nashville 2020. But I wanted to show you, I'm not going to give any details away about the series other than this is the color that the models will be stitched on. It's a brand new color, not available yet, from Fabrics by Stephanie. I'm having a hard time getting a really good color. It's a beautiful turquoisey, tealy blue. So I'm just going to kind of, so you can catch glimpses of it. I'm sorry, my lighting in here is just kind of a little awkward. There you can kind of get in the shadows a little bit. It's just this beautiful, beautiful aqua wash. She is calling it Vintage Tiffany, and I'll tell you, it's the perfect name for this linen. So that is about all I'm going to give away for this and the series itself. So, but what I wanted to do, so I realize this is kind of a little different. There will be 9 parts to this series. And I want to show you how, this is a fat quarter cut. I want to show you how you will be able to get all 9 pieces of this series onto one fat quarter. A lot of times I really do think about the sizing of the design themselves and how do you get the optimal fit on, say, we'll call it a standard cut, something like that. Because I get questions all the time from stitchers. How much fabric should I use? How big a piece of fabric? Now, typically, we say, look at the stitch count of the design, divide by the count of your linen. In this case, you would use 16 because this is a 32 count. And then you get your measurement, and then you add 3 inches all the way around. So in our case, that would probably end up with like a 9 by 9 piece. Well, 9 by 9, if you're going to need 9 of them, really ends up in a horrendous size for shops to cut, and there's so much waste. So I really like to try and be economical with my linen and make sure that I make good use of everything. So adding that extra around, the 3 inches around, is great if you're framing, or quite frankly, if you don't know how you're going to finish something. But if you're going to finish this series the way I finished this series, you'll have plenty of linen to take care of this. So you got 2 options. All right, one, if you like working with the whole cloth, say if you work in hand or you're comfortable just having all of this, we're going to actually subdivide this fat quarter into 9 pieces. Now originally I had it turned this way and I thought, well, this will be terrific. I look at my fold lines. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I only had 8. I need 9. So I turned the piece of linen this way, and it's 18 inches by 26 inches. That's what a fat quarter is. It's half a yard this way and half the width of the fabric, because a linen is approximately 55 inches wide, but then you always lose a little bit when through the hand dyeing process. Now, if you're going to do this on Aida, that might be a little bit different because some Aidas are a different width. All right, but linen is approximately 55 wide. So you've got, okay, option number 1, if you want to use the whole thing, you're going to want to mark, we're going to mark this 3 rows by 3 columns. And you can use one of 2 things. You can use either like a little mechanical pencil, just make sure it's a graphite that won't rub, or, you know, just, yeah, move a little bit, stain a little bit if you're, you know, with your hands and whatnot. You don't want that to get into your stitched area. But typically with a mechanical pencil, I don't have a problem. Another pen that's great to use, you can use those blue pens that, you know, disappear with a little bit of water. I happen to really like the friction pens, I don't know if I'm saying it right, Frixion. This one's kind of a pinky color. It disappears with heat. I don't really plan on ironing this in between, or I wouldn't. So I could just mark my lines and then center the design within each section. So, and you're probably thinking, like, why is she, you know, why are we doing this? Why are we learning about this ahead of time? I don't know. I felt like I'm getting ready to prepare this for my model stitchers. So why not show you the process I use? So let's measure this. Again, it's 18 inches wide. So I'm going to find my, let's see, 6-inch mark. And my ruler's not quite long enough, so I'm going to have to do this in 2 swipes. All right. So I'm going to mark here. I move my ruler up. I mark here. I'm going to come over and do the second row. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it over there. Make sure that we're staying, so we've got 6 inch, 6 inch, and 6 inch. And I just happen to know that my piece will fit in there. Again, like I said, I'm not gonna have 3 inches around it, but if you're gonna finish it the way I am gonna finish it, you'll be fine. And you'll get the most economical piece of linen. So we're gonna turn it this way. So now it's 26 wide, so I want 3 rows. So 26 divided by 3 is 8.66. So I'm going to probably mark at about, just a hair over 8.5. And I should be good because I know I've got plenty that way. So I kind of have it. So how do I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. All right. There's my first line. There's a half. 4 and 4. Let's just double check. 4 and 4. Yep, I got plenty up there. So now, close my pen up. Granted, if I don't iron this, hopefully you can see my lines on there, maybe not. I now have marked 9 stitching spots for the 9 pieces of this series. So I can put it in my Q-snap and I can, use it just like this. Or if you're a hand holder, I would just definitely say for sure, start in the middle. Okay, you're not going to be able to measure in 3 and down 3, that kind of thing. Now, if you really want to start at the top or something like that, you can kind of gauge, measure out how big the piece is going to be and figure out where in that block you can start. Say if you're a top row starter or something like that. But that's also an option. But now I just wanted you to know that you really truly can get all 9 pieces of the series out of a fat quarter. Now, what I'm going to do, because I'm stitching a couple of them to have some color testing and color play, but I am going to get some help from some of my model stitchers. So some of this has to go in the mail and off to the model stitcher. So I'm going to actually cut these apart. But that's going to leave me a very small piece, and I don't like hand holding that small of a piece. So I'm going to add some muslin to the sides, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So first of all, I'm going to take my ruler, and I so conveniently marked my lines on it. And I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and I'm going to cut these into 9 individual pieces. Okay, again, I've done the math. I know that these sizes will work. All right, there's your first cut. Oh, looks like it's about time to change the blade. All right, there's the first one. And okay. All right, now I'm going to take these and subcut them again. And I'm just using that line that I drew. So you're going, that's a really small piece. So you can at this point either, hand hold the stitch. I prefer to actually, when I'm stitching like this, when I'm model stitching where I'm really working with some stitches and I might have to make some changes, I do really like to work with my Q-snap. Over the years, I've kind of perfected a technique using my Q-snap, doing a sewing method with a railroading technique, and also I keep my fabric really loose in the Q-snap. I just use the frame to kind of hold on to. It just works for me. Everybody has kind of their own little different technique. Use what works best for you. But obviously this piece is really too small to fit into any of my Q-snaps. My comfort level is at about an 8x8. I have big hands, so those 6x6s don't do much for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some fabric strips all the way around. This way I'm ready to ship these off to my stitchers and use a couple of them for myself. So I have cut some strips of muslin, about 3 inches wide, mostly because I knew that that was going to allow me to be able to attach and use a decent sized Q-snap. So I cut a bunch of these strips just out of a muslin. I'm going to cut that in half, just because I know about where that is. Again, we're not making a quilt here. This is pretty eyeballish type stuff. So I'm just going to go over to my sewing machine and I'm going to put, I guess right sides together, so to speak, and just do a quick little seam here and a quick little seam there. Then I'll iron those back. Then I'll add another, let me grab another piece and I'll attach one to this side, okay? So I'm gonna go do a little bit of sewing and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. So I just want to show you that I cut these side strips approximately 3 inches, these strips of just a muslin. So, and I just did a 1/4 inch seam. I did my long sides first. It doesn't really matter which side you do first. So this is what it looks like when I sewed my 2 muslin strips on there. All right, and then I'm going to go to my iron here, and I'm going to iron the linen side out. Basically, you're ironing the seam to the outside. And then I'm going to add another strip this way and that way. And I've actually already done that. We're not talking, neat, straight line, well, somewhat straight lines, but I'm not trying to match up seams on a quilt here, okay? So I added the one on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and iron those to the outside. And now I have plenty of fabric to hold on to with my Q-snap. And this is just a great little technique if you're stitching something that and you want to use like a piece of linen from your stash, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is the perfect shade, but it's just, I'm just gonna be squeaking by. Go ahead and attach some linen strip or some muslin strips, or it doesn't have to be muslin, cotton, whatever. Attach that to help hold it into your Q-snap, and then you don't worry about like any excess fraying or anything like that to take away even more of that precious piece of linen if you're cutting it really close. So the reason why I'm doing this, I said I know it's a little strange for me to be talking about the series without talking about the series and saying what it is, other than I'm using this pretty blue linen. Is that because, like I said, I'm getting ready to model stitch myself, and also I need to send some of these off to my stitchers, and we can't like all share the same piece of linen. So, but I want to conserve the linen, and I find sometimes, just little tips or hints or whatever like this is helpful to you. And if this is a series that eventually sparks some joy for you to get all Marie Kondo on you, you can definitely get by with a fat 1/4 to stitch the entire series. So there you go. It's a little different approach. I'm just gonna go with it, and hopefully you've learned something. And whether you choose to do this particular series or not, I sound funny, like I can say this particular series, but I can't tell you the series just yet. Anyway, I will post this probably a little bit later. So in the meantime, enjoy the stitch, and we'll see you soon. We'll actually really see you soon. All right, bye-bye.